You know, I don't usually address celebrity gossip and relationship issues, but this time I'm going to make an exception. Number one, because I really love Keyshia Cole as a talented, beautiful Oakland homegirl. And number two, because the situation that just happened between her and Antonio Brown has created a perfect opportunity to use that situation as a lesson on how to choose a man to involve yourself with. So first, let's start with a little background. Keyshia Cole is currently 40 years old. She's already enjoyed a successful 25-year career in the music industry with albums selling millions of copies, which went gold and then platinum. Keyshia has been nominated for at least 4 Grammys. She's been connected with big names in music such as MC Hammer and rapper Tupac Shakur. She's made recordings with guest singers like Missy Elliott, Monica, Meek Mill, Lil Wayne, Ashanti, Robin Thicke, Wale, August Alsina, Faith Evans, and Future, and probably some other ones that I don't even remember. So, I remember when Keyshia married that NBA player Daniel Gibson. I had to look up the date. It's May 2011. And in the marriage, they had a little boy. So they decided to split a few years later in 2017 and were involved in a real, super draggy custody, child support, and spousal support dispute, which they finally settled, and the divorce was final in 2020. She also had another son by some other guy named Nico Kale, I think, Kale. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. But anyway, so she has 2 little boys. That's important, so let's keep that in mind. So fast forward to 2022, and she gets involved with Antonio Brown because he wants her to help him collaborate on his first album. Now, this guy, Antonio Brown, is a football player, but he decided he wanted to be a music artist. Keyshia felt like he had some talent, so she decided to, agree to participate in his project, and that's how they met. And they hung out, it seems like, from everything I could read, they were only kicking it for about a month. The tipping point came when it seems to be what triggered him is that she made a post on the gram about how she missed him with a picture of them together. Dude lost his cookies. And it's during this time, she apparently was under the impression that they were in a dating relationship and was shocked to see this shady post that he made online. So dude put up this post here that I'm showing you now. You ain't pimping until you hit an R&B diva. Okay, he was talking about her. Okay, how dusty do you have to be to post something like that publicly online? It's like he just wanted to try to humiliate her. And, that was just so unnecessary and just so rude and disrespectful. This is a woman with a 12-year-old son. He's not going to see this. You talking about his mama like that? It's just ridiculous. And the guy just has absolutely no redeeming social value in my book. So then she comes back, people were asking her about her opinion of what he posted. And she says, well, it was a little harsh. Maybe he doesn't know that it was a little harsh for him to say that. Even me speaking to him, he was like, well, do you want me to change the caption? And I was like, no, I don't really want you to change the caption. Now, why she said that, I don't know. I would have said yes, or even take the whole thing down because it's inappropriate and my kids are going to see that. But for some reason, she didn't do that. Okay, so I don't have an answer for you on that, why she did that. That's something we'd have to ask her personally. So then she moved on over to her stories on Instagram to kind of reiterate and expand on her feelings on his original post. And she says, yeah, I was big tripping, shaking my head. I see it now. I have a 12-year-old. That type of disrespect for that. Nothing is worth that level of disrespect, especially when you don't deserve it. I had so much love, respect, and admiration for you. Guess that wasn't mutual. So then dude, being the dust bucket that he is and just can't leave well enough alone, can't apologize for what he did and say, yeah, I was wrong. He gonna double down. So this is what he says. Keyshia Cole, I'm a player, man. We don't want you, Keyshia. I don't go back. I go forward. So at that point, whatever they had went up in smoke and it's over. So who is this man behind all this drama? His name is Antonio Brown. He is arguably one of the best wide receivers in the game right now. But, excuse me for my interjection, but nobody is or ever will be better than Jerry Rice, who played for the 49ers for like 16, 17 seasons. Sorry, people, but that's just the way it is. So, dude obviously has some talent because of the way he was able to hop around from team to team, which I will go over in a minute. But he is sus as all hell. Let's go over some of the issues in this man's life that just have taken place within the last couple of years. Okay, first of all, I found it. Now, this is kind of lightweight, it's somewhat humorous, but there was a report that a doctor said that he repeatedly farted in his face. I was like, what? Who does that? So Dr. Victor Prisk says that Brown showed up 3 hours late to an appointment in August of 2018. During a body fat analysis, Brown began farting in his face. However, unlike other allegations against Brown, there's actual video evidence of the farting. You can hear it in the video. I'm going to put a link in the show description so you can click that and you can, watch the video if you want to. Admittedly, dude did apologize, and afterwards he and the doctor had a couple of humorous tweets between them about it. So it seemed like, even though he was rude and crude with the doctor took it in good spirits and there was no harm done. All right. So I just want to mention that, though, because it kind of sets a tone for somebody who's just uber raggedy. Who does that? Okay, then we move on to something a little bit more serious. His baby mama, earlier this year, filed for custody and supervised visitation. So this happened in January. She filed for sole custody, and if he wants to see the kids, he needs to have supervised visitation. She was citing his recent behavior in her pleading, saying that he continues to demonstrate an incapacity to make decisions in the best interest of the minor children. The kids that she's talking about are only 5, 4, and 2 years old. I was like, wow. His suit was to make them move out of the house, and he was claiming that she was ignoring an eviction notice and refusing to leave with his 3 kids. I'm like, dude, you can't let them live in the house and you go live somewhere else in a condo or something? I was just appalled. I didn't even know what to say about that, but that just shows another level of dust. So amazingly, though, coincidentally, her lawsuit was filed just 2 days before he live streamed himself yelling and cursing at her when she came to the house to pick up the kids to take them to school. The confrontation involved police, and then he's out there cussing and yelling at the police, yelling at her, full of profanity, and all of this happened in front of the children. Okay, so that shows he didn't give a damn about them kids. She wants dude to get some mental health treatment, and I have to say I agree with her after reviewing all of his behavior. I'm a layman, right? So I'm not supposed to diagnose, and nothing that I say here should be construed as any more than my opinion. But to me, his behavior appears to fall under the umbrella of someone afflicted with antisocial personality disorder. I'm going to tell you what, from the DSM, they say a diagnosis requires at least 3 of the following symptoms. You, as we go through this video, you reflect on this and tell me how many of these boxes he checks off. Disdain for authority and social norms shown by continued illegal or law-breaking behavior. Number 2, a pattern of deceit, including exploitation and manipulation of other people. Number 3, reckless, impulsive, or risky behavior that shows disregard for the personal safety or his own personal safety or the safety of other people. Number 4, little or no remorse for harmful or illegal actions. Number 5, a generally hostile, irritable, aggressive, restless, or agitated mood. Number 6, a pattern of irresponsible, arrogant, or disrespectful behavior. And the final one is number 7, is difficulty planning ahead, which might involve a lot of, impulsivity. So now let's talk about this. The Sporting News website posted a timeline of the drama that follows him around like a dark cloud. This guy, I don't know about him. Here are a few gems that I feel like would fall under the category. They were, I don't know, maybe violent or criminal or just basically just strange behavior that you would think somebody who has the opportunity to make, $50, $60 million would not do. So let me go through this so you can see how this man contributed to his own downfall by his errant behavior, lack of regard for rules, regulations, lack of regard for authority, and his reckless and impulsive and risky behaviors. Okay, so number one, we're going back to 2018. He was benched by the Steelers. That's who he was playing for at the time. And then traded in February 2019 after he was found guilty of reckless driving. Okay, that's a violation of their conduct code. So they dipped out on dude. So there we go. There's the first bye. Bye, Steelers. So in March 2019, he came to Oakland to play for the Raiders. He had a 3-year, $50 million deal with $30 million guaranteed. Okay, 50 mil for 3 years of running up and down with a basketball. Okay, so in September of 2019, he got fined $54,000 for missing his workouts. He was pissed off because he got fined, so he called the general manager of the Oakland Raiders a cracker repeatedly, which led to the Raiders, like releasing him. They just put him in the wind. Like, you want to be free, here you go. And they found a way to out of paying the guaranteed $30 million. So it was a $50 million contract with $30 million guaranteed. But their lawyers were slick and found a way to not give him that money. So there you go. There's boot number 2. Bye, Raiders. September 7th, the Patriots picked him up, and they had a deal worth $15 million. So notice how his money's dropping. Okay, I want you to pay attention to that. 50 to 15. He had a $9 million signing bonus versus $30 million guaranteed from the first team. But he took it, okay? So that was September 7th. So September 10th, just a couple of days later, former trainer Brittany Taylor charged him with 3 different sexual assaults that she says took place in 2017 and 2018. But at the time of the article that was written in 2020 that I pulled all this from, the matter had not yet been resolved, and he was claiming his innocence. So then we move on to September 15th. Now, this is 1 week after he got picked up from the Patriots. He played 1 game for them on the 15th of September. On September 20th, the Patriots put his ass in the wind, too, after a second woman accused him of sexual misconduct by sending lewd, threatening messages to her. Okay, so here's boot number 3. Bye, Patriots. So then July 2020. Okay, so this is so that was September. Now we're in July of the following year. He had an 8-game suspension for violation of the NFL's personal conduct policy after he got arrested for attacking the driver of a moving company van that was there to move his stuff. Okay. So they're like, okay, so he had an 8-game suspension for that. So then October, 23rd of 2020, he signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With his prorated salary, since that was mid-season, his prorated salary for the rest of the season was going to be about $750,000. So dude went from $50 million to $750. Okay, $50 million over 3 years to $750,000 for 1 year. He did this to himself. Okay, so December 2nd, 2021, he got suspended again for supplying the NFL with a fake COVID vaccination card. I mean, dude, for real. You didn't think they would find that out. He got suspended for 3 games, but they still kept him, because they felt like he was too valuable to the team. But they suspended his ass for 3 games. So, okay, that was December 2nd. So exactly a month later, on January 2nd of this year, he was on the bench chatting with a teammate when suddenly everybody, and it's all on videos, you can see this online, dude stands up, he stripped off his gloves, he stripped off his pads, he took off his undershirt, he took off his jersey, which he, threw up in the crowd. Then he ran shirtless onto the field to the Buccaneers end zone. And then he did this jump up and down toddler tantrum move and then ran into the locker room. Okay, he was fired on the spot. They were like, what kind of monkey shines is this? You acting crazy. You got to go. So he was fired on the spot from the Bucs, and he's now calling himself a free agent, which basically means he's a player who ain't playing. And he hears all the teams saying, we don't want you, just like he told Keyshia Cole. So there you go, 4th boot. Bye, Bucks. And keep in mind, these are just the things that we publicly know about, okay? This doesn't mean that this is everything that this clown has done. Okay, so now we get to the part about Keyshia Cole. We have to ask, why did she choose this guy? looking at his antics over the past couple of years, it is seriously a head-scratching mystery, at least to me. I don't know about you. It was interesting because the Shade Room featured a clip from a live interview with her and this guy's named E.J. King, who's a celebrity stylist. And he asked her, what made you interested in him in the first place? And this is what she said. You know what? I saw a black man that is going through the motion. She was, going through the motion, bruh. And I identified, I'm not a black man, but I identified with how heavy it can be. He might not care about that. I don't know. And so then King piped up with, well, okay. He tried to explain because what she said really wasn't very informative. So I tried to flesh it out by saying you identified with his trauma. You identified with what he was going through in the media, in his career as a black man. You felt that he was misunderstood. And the clip I was viewing, I don't know where the whole interview is posted. This was just a clip that the Shade Room had posted on, I think it was Instagram. And so that's all that I was able to see, But I thought it was interesting. So she was, focused on what she imagined was his pain versus, looking at what this guy might have to offer her in a relationship. And that is why I wanted to do this video. So where did Keyshia go wrong? Let's talk about that. I think there's 4 key areas of relationship vetting and building that she either ignored, or she misunderstood what she was seeing, or she didn't know what to think about the things that she was seeing. You know what I mean? Because having relationship skills and being able to vet men properly is a learned skill. You don't come out the womb with that ability. People have to teach it to you. And if you're in an environment where you're not being taught that these are the certain things that you need to look for in a man and eliminate men who don't have these abilities or these traits, then just because she's a recording artist, that does not mean that she would know these things. I think sometimes people get confused and they think if a person is rich or, famous or in the public eye, that they are like some kind of goddess or god and that they magically know everything and have superhuman powers. She's just a little girl from Oakland that started, in a singing career. I don't think she went to college or anything like that. I don't know what she does as far as her educational status and what she reads for books for, I don't know those things, and neither do you. So we're not going to even talk about woulda, shoulda, coulda. We're going to talk about what is and what would have been helpful for her to know or do. The reason why we're going to phrase it that way is because there's those people out there listening to this that also don't know what to do and what to look for, and this will be an education for everyone concerned. Now, I think, had she known, she would have seen the traits that this guy was exhibiting, which to me were the traits of somebody that had some antisocial personality disorder issues going on. She could have then dipped in, because she evidently thought that he had talent as a musician. So she could have dipped in, did what she needed to do professionally in the studio, and then deuced out and left his ass there. That would have been the best result for her. But let's talk about these 4 key components of what I think a man, what they should be in a man who a 40-year-old woman is going to mess around with. He got to have these 4 points, which this guy did not, okay? And he's in his 30s, but still, dude, for real. Okay, my first one is manhood. Just because you are 6 feet tall and 220 pounds of muscle with a beard and a mustache and all that does not mean that you are a man. You are a male personage, certainly. But manhood is a quality that you have to earn. You have to work at it. My definition is set out in several videos, which I'll try to remember to link to. But some of the chief components are: a man is responsible for his choices. He owns his shit. He's focused on doing what's right and what's needed at the time that is needed. He is driven towards his goals. He's not going to let himself get distracted with nonsense. He's going to demonstrate command and control of himself, and he's going to remain purposeful and strong even in the face of adversity. What you do not do if you are going to call yourself a man is act a zip down fool cussing at police, treating a woman who bore your children with marked disrespect, treating other women with marked disrespect, and seeming to enjoy it online. Verbally and emotionally abusing your children, beating on people, assaulting women like you entitled to their bodies, disrespecting your teammates and your employer, and always trying to find a shortcut to get over on or use somebody. These types of behaviors indicate some kind of twisted twisted sense of morals and values. And this kind of man is nothing that a woman should want to have around her young sons. I want you to, I'm going to try to link to that too. I have a whole video on antisocial personality disorder so that you can really familiarize yourself with the behavior patterns, because it's very common and it's something that you really need to be up on so that you can spot it when you're out here dating, especially those of you who do this online dating stuff. A lot of them dudes have some mental issues, and you should be aware so that you can avoid them like the plague. The second point is accountability. Now, I have a whole video on accountability as well, but just to sum things up here, the state of being accountable or answerable or responsible for the fulfillment of your obligations. That's what accountability is. It's, your conduct meeting the respect of the expectations, rather, that's the word I'm looking for. Reading the expectations for conduct that you're supposed to present to people, and you're going to meet those you're going to meet up with those conduct standards, or you're going to suffer the consequences, which you do willingly because you know that you made a decision not to do it. You're not going to fight about it when you get the repercussions drop down from the sky because you know you did something you wasn't supposed to do. This is the behavior is repeatedly violated in contract clauses by this guy regarding performance and conduct, which caused him to lose millions. I'm talking about 40, 50 millions of dollars. Yet he just couldn't seem to control himself. He just could not seem to stop. The third point on my list is qualifications. What qualifies this man that you're talking to, this man who's trying to get with you, what qualifies this man to be your lover, a friend, a fiance, or a husband, baby daddy, whatever? What qualities and qualifications does he present that would make you think that he would do a good job of being that man? Do y'all even think about that kind of stuff? It doesn't seem like it. Also you need to think about, how do you communicate? Is this person emotionally available? There's a video about emotional unavailable men on this channel. Is this person on the same page, or at least in the same book that you in, when you consider things like your values, your morals, your outlook on life in general, your life goals? Are you guys anywhere near, on the same slope there? Does this guy have the capacity to be genuine and vulnerable to you? Can he open up, or is he always full of games and tricks and tests and lies and, trying to manipulate you and trick you into doing something? So you always feel uncomfortable and guarded when you're around him. You never know if he's really telling you the truth. You never know if he's really being real with you. It's always some kind of pretense and trickeration, like you're always being tested or something. It's very obnoxious. I've met a couple of guys like that, and I had to get rid of them real quick because it's exhausting being around them. You can't relax and be who you are because they're not going to ever show you who they are. So you're constantly on guard. It's a horrible feeling. So you have to think about that. Does this person that's trying to get with you bring you some joy and some peace? Or is there always some bullshit and drama to contend with when you're dealing with him? That's very important, because these are qualifications that a man needs to bring to, they were talking about a table. Well, this is your table. What's he bringing to it? So when you look at this dude, though, this Antonio Brown, looking at his past behavior, it's easy to do since he's a public figure, which is an advantage that most of us do not have because we're not dating public figures. But looking at that, it's obvious that this guy does not meet the standards of somebody that should have been, where she should have invested any emotions in him. He wasn't qualified, okay? And my fourth point is status. Unfortunately, many women, not just Keyshia, assume that if they spend time with a guy, they're going out to eat, they go to the movies, They go for a walk, walking his dog. They hanging out at his place or hers. They sleeping together. They talking and texting frequently. Y'all just assume that you in a committed relationship and this guy is your boyfriend. That happens so much. Once you start assigning the title to dude and feeling like you in a relationship, that comes with a lot of assumptions and expectations that unless you've had that conversation with him, he may not be willing or interested in meeting. So I got to repeat this again. Unless you two have sat down and discussed what you're doing, what the goal is for the relationship, you are a single woman and you just kicking it with some dude you just met. You have a good time with him. You're free to do the same things you do with him with any other man that you want to. You know why? Because you single. You're a single woman. You're not only single, you're single and available. He ain't put no claim on you. Remember that. Y'all be doing too much. And just, jumping to conclusions, jumping to assumptions based on that, initial sexual attraction that a guy will have to you where he want to be around you all the time. But, that wears off. What else is going to be going on? All of that should be established before that. So this guy, he let her know that he wasn't feeling it like that. It wasn't that kind of party for him. But he did it in a really crude and crass way. And it was basically, from my perspective, it was a conversation that Keyshia should have had and made sure that they had that conversation first before she jumped to any conclusions, posted about she missed him and all this old stuff. You don't miss somebody who's nothing but a booty call and a good time. You don't say that publicly. You don't admit that to anybody out loud. And there were some people saying that she got a tattoo of his initials on her somewhere. I don't know if that's true because I didn't see anything to back that up. But I hope that's not true after only 1 month of dealing with a dude. So remember, ladies, it doesn't matter how many times a week you see him, how much you get busy, who he introduces you to, how much money he spends on you, or how much time goes by, weeks, months, years. It doesn't matter. You got to have this kind of open and honest and revealing conversation where you both agree on the trip and the destination. So how you going to get there and what the destination is for the relationship at the very end. You have to do that. It's a difficult conversation. Some women are afraid to do it, but I'm like, how can you be afraid to have that conversation, but you ain't afraid to jump in the mattress? What? How does that even make any sense? But let me just just in closing by saying, by properly vetting the men you meet, you can make sure you don't fall into this trap. Okay, take your time, get to know these dudes. Talk to him about what it is that he's trying to do and what you want. You know what you want to do. You don't have to tell him. You just want to find out where his head is. What you don't want to do is waste your time with somebody who never planned to be serious with you in the first place. That's unfortunately what she did. So, you got to take Keyshia's advice. Look at the slide. If he don't want you, you got to let it go. So along these lines, I'm going to be doing a live stream. We'll be setting it up. I'm working on the slides for it on what it means to women to have a boyfriend, your boo thing, your love. What does that mean to be dating or talking to a guy? Well, I'm going to schedule that soon, within the next 2 weeks, because there are a lot of misconceptions about those stages of getting to know somebody and jumping to conclusions about what you're doing here that I want to address with you. This is on top of what we just did today. So please hit that subscription button and the like button before you get up out of here. And I will see you guys real soon.